Kimberly here. Good morning, good evening, whichever it is for you. I am getting ready for night 1 of 3 for night shift, and I'm just going to do a little get ready with me while I get ready for my shift, and we'll get into it. I've got my coffee in hand. I've got an extra water by my side here so we can do this. And yeah, I just want to chat about some things as I've been trying to do the last few videos, and I've gone with this format, and I'll talk more about it as I go along on what's happening in my world. So I hope you're all having a fabulous evening. And yeah, this is me on the flip side. So here we go. The foam is foaming. So yeah, last couple videos I did, I went through some things about, you know, how on earth I'm still at the bedside after 25 years, which honestly, if you had asked me 20 years ago, or I don't know, 25 years ago, if I'd be at the bedside after 25 years, I think it would have made me think. I probably would have thought that no way in hell. I mean, after, I'm just going to put it out there, age 50, you know, when you're 20 something years old and you're a new nurse, it's not the first thought in your mind that you're going to be still at the bedside. And if it wasn't for my passion for patient care and the fact that I actually love what I do, I wouldn't be here. I actually am still in love with my job. I have had moments, now don't get me wrong, I have had plenty of time where I'm not in love with my job. And many moons, many shifts where I have been absolutely disgusted with things that have gone on in the practice and my job, whatever. And that doesn't mean that I don't love what I do. I actually do love patient care. I think that I've been able to stay in this because of the fact that I went into it with a passion for what I'm doing. Clinical care actually keeps my brain stimulated, and yeah, if I didn't care about what I do and like what I do, I wouldn't still be here. So, needless to say, I'm here, so I'm here for you too. I decided a while ago I wanted to do a YouTube channel to discuss things that are going on in clinical care and kind of be a experienced voice in this practice to discuss things that are current, that are going on, that you might be experiencing, that I might have experienced at some point in my career, because I guarantee you I probably have. And to share some things that I think that having a perspective of being a nurse of 25 years, still doing this, there's a lot of voices out there on social media and on the YouTubes and all the socials that are still new in the practice. And I don't feel like there's a lot of voices in my age group talking about their experience. So I wanted to do it, and it's daunting as I can't even tell you. Getting on here and putting yourself out there is a whole thing. I hate this part of the makeup tutorial. Getting on here and speaking about my experiences is one thing, but putting yourself on camera and trying to talk about what you're doing after being a certain age, which shall not be named, can be really hard, because, you know, it's so, you guys are so cute. I swear, I've watched so many creators out there who I have so much respect for, who are new to the practice in their young 20s and 30s, who I admire because they're doing it. They're out there putting all their, you know, stuff out there as far as content. But you guys are so damn cute. Like, y'all are cute. You're just so like perky and fresh and young and gorgeous. And, you know, as much as you try to be confident in yourself, you can't help but have little things creep into your head and go like, I don't like this about myself, or I don't like that about myself, or pick yourself apart on camera. Like that is a thing, and it is hard. And I have found myself like trying to get more comfortable being on camera, and I sometimes have a hard time with it. So like, I just kind of was like, screw it. I'm doing this regardless. And if I don't like what I see on camera, then oh well, I have something to say and I want to do that. So a couple things I'm going to go along. I want to do better about letting you all know what I'm doing with my makeup tutorial. I just, if you want to know what I use, and I am not sponsored in any way, I use the Estee Lauder Double Wear in 2C1 right now. I was at 2C0, but I went on a trip to Mexico, got a little bit of sun, and so I upped my color to 2C1, and sometimes I'll mix them as my tone changes. I don't know, you know, everybody has different skin types. I am a little bit older. I like the way that the double wear goes on my face, and I work 12-hour shifts. So, you know, from the time like right now till when I go into work, my makeup's got to last. I don't do touch-ups at work. I have to wear masks and things rubbing on my face, and I feel like it gives me some moisture and, you know, some evening out of my skin tone, and I like the makeup itself. I use a bronzer. I started using this bronzer stick by it's the Selena Gomez line, Happy Soul, Rare Beauty, like a year ago, and I bought one stick, and I'm gonna tell you, this stuff is the bomb. I used it, it lasted me about a year. So I don't ever do this on my face. I always use a brush. I tried that the first time I bought it, and holy moly, I had like a straight line. It was hard. You don't need that much. It's just a little dab will do ya. And I kind of just go along my forehead. I go along my cheeks. I don't get into putting a lot of blush on anymore because I don't need it after I put the bronzer on in color. So I go along the forehead line, and this will all even out. Trust the process, as we say. I do a little right here, not all the way up onto the hairline, but right here, just over the brow, because what this will do, this tone right here, as I sweep my makeup up, I'm trying to lengthen out just my outer edges of my eye. So for whatever reason, this is how my bronzer works well for me. I notice a lot of people do bronzer differently. I've tried to do my coloring in different ways, and just based on my face shape, the way I'm applying it works for me. I kind of have a round, full cheeks and a fuller face. So I kind of go in here from just above the ear down to this way. Some people go down here. I don't like the way that looks on me. I already have a natural hollowing right here. And what this does for me is it brings that into a more even. So you can see when I talk, sometimes like you'll see that hollowing line. When I go above it, it just kind of can even it out a little bit. I do bring some along here, along the jawline. I've got a little bit of jowling going on for my age. It is common. I don't take it all the way down sometimes because what'll happen is it'll make the jowls more pronounced. So I just go along here to slim out my face. And la 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 la. Yeah, that's about all I do on that. Okay, that part's done. I do want to let you know, yeah, I decided tonight before I got ready, if you ever want to see what my counter looks like, I set it up before I do the videos just so I can have my stuff at my fingertips. I have a towel down so that I'm not making a lot of clinking noises during the video. I tried shooting some videos over the summer as I was getting ready to kick off on my channel again, and I noticed that I had a lot of noise in the background. So just kind of learning the YouTube thing again. I took a break for 2 years, and here I am. So we'll get into that later. I'm gonna go in and do just a old trusty on the palette tonight. When I am going to work, I don't always get a little crazy. I get crazy with my colors. Sometimes I stick with things that I know, like that'll go with my scrubs that I wear, typically wearing black or dark colors. And my eye color and my eye palette will kind of reflect that. So tonight I'm going to be using my Urban Decay and Psych. I'm going to go with the green on the lid, and then I have my old trusty MAC palette here, and it is so worn out I can't even see the back, but I like this like light brown on the top. Yeah, it is really worn out. So that brown is the one that I go in with over the brow bone right here, and I have to be really careful with it because it is, as you can see, things can get, I have some natural shading on my hooded eye, and it can be really dark. So I just tap a tiny bit, and I blow it off with a brush right before I start so that I can actually blend it. And I try not to make too big of a mess down here with all of the flaking. And a lot of people don't care about the mess. I just don't want to have to clean it up and try to smudge and wipe after I'm done. So I'm going in with the brown. And I just want to talk about some things. On my last video, I was briefly touching on some things about women in healthcare. And if you're a man in healthcare, I am just going to say I have so much respect for men who do this job. And any discussions I have about women's issues in the workplace that are going on, or things that I bring up about women, you know, in nursing and the history of nursing, it's just to kind of highlight some things that I feel passionate about. And I know that nursing for a lot of men can be difficult to get into, and especially in certain areas where it's still dominated in by women. I have so much respect, and I just will get into some of that later too. Maybe I'll do a video, of discussions I've had with men who are wanting to be in maternal child health, and there are some barriers there. And I'm hoping in the years to come that these barriers will be diminished and our men will be at the bedside there too. I think that there's a lot of talent out there, and the men and women discussion can be really tough. But I'm not doing this to discuss anything political. We are not doing that. Let me take a sip real quick. And I'm just going to go over some titles of books that I've read and things that have been sticking out to me, and what I had brought up in my last video, and we're going to chat about it. So, I know, it's so gross. I have to do that because I have this like really foamy coffee, which is awesome and life-giving. I read a few books over the summer, not even the summer, I'd say more recently in the fall, that really I did not anticipate that they would kind of hit me where they did. I started out reading The Women by Kristen Hanna, and that's a fiction book. It wasn't a true story, but it's based on a true story. And I was blown away by how much research she actually did and the facts that she pulled when creating the story. And I gotta say, like, kudos to Kristen Hanna for the book that she wrote called The Women, because it's about the nurses that were in Vietnam, their journey, their story. I know Diane Carlson Evans was really, involved with this book, or so I understand. And maybe I'm misunderstanding it when I was reading the what is it? Not the foreword. Is it the end word? I forget. I apologize. But was reading about some history on the book, and it got me to go down the rabbit hole of Diane Carlson Evans' story about her time in Vietnam, and wow. So the book The Women follows a storyline about women who went to Vietnam, and I felt that it was a phenomenal fiction story that really highlighted the actual events that went on when women were in Vietnam, not just in Vietnam, but after they came home from Vietnam, which, as you know, like if you understand military service and going on deployments, even from any veteran standpoint, sometimes going to war is hard, but coming home can be so much harder. And that goes for any veterans, for no matter what conflict or what zone you're in. There is a mindset that goes into deployments, and if you're a member of the veteran community, you're going to understand this. I'm going to be straight out. I work in the veteran community right now, and I know that for fact there are a lot of men and women who do have a hard time coming home. Vietnam was very unique in its own right because people came home to a American public that was very, very divided, and the coming home was harder than we could have ever imagined. The support was not there, and it was a time that, I don't know, I think it's a time that our country probably would like to rewrite that history, but we can't. All we can do is learn from it and move forward and do better moving forward. So I think the book is a powerful book. I have recommended it to some young nurses that I work with. One in particular told me she read it recently because she recently joined the Navy Reserves. I thought it would be a really good book for her to read, and she told me she cried a lot, as I did when I read the book. So if you are a nurse in healthcare, if you're a veteran in healthcare, if you are a nurse veteran in healthcare, or if you just want to learn more about the storyline, it's a great book. It's not just about nurses. I think that, there was a lot of media personnel, there was a lot of civilian personnel, there was duty member, everything. There was so many people and so many women that served over in Vietnam. I think it's important to understand our history so that we can move forward and do better in our future. So, if you're a nurse, I recommend the book. If you're not, I recommend the book. And yeah, the other thing I wanted to discuss was the book called Healing Wounds by Diane Carlson Evans. I read that book after I read The Women. Holy moly. I had no idea that I'm going to be putting my liquid eye makeup on right now. So this is always in I got to look this way, so apologies. I had no idea that, oh shoot, I forgot something. I forgot my inner corners. I got to talking. I put shroom on the inner corners of my eyes just to lighten this up right here and over my eyebrows. This is MAC shroom. So Diane Carlson Evans wrote a book of her journey in trying to get acknowledgement of the women who were in Vietnam. In case you aren't aware, when women came home from Vietnam, service members, women who were active duty were not supported even by our own government in their needing healthcare, mental health services, and everything else. And there was a lot of people who felt that because the women were not combat, they were not combat nurses, that they did not they weren't categorized as service members, which, wow, you don't have to be in combat to be in service or to be traumatized by war. I'm putting my liquid eyeliner on tonight. This is by L'Oreal Matte Metallics. I have a little inkwell. It is in metallic burgundy, and I like this with the green, so we're going in. So, Diane Carlson Evans started I'm going to call it a whole movement. She actually, after the Vietnam Memorial was erected, there was some it felt like to women that there was information missing, especially after the three men, the three service members. There was 3 male service members and a statue near the wall on the mile. And although there were names of female service members who passed away and died and were killed in action, I'm going to just take this washcloth and clean off any extra eyeliner I have on my eyes or eyelashes, because I found that if I don't, it gets sticky when I go to put my mascara on. So I have this weird habit. I take a wet washcloth and I just go along and wipe off any liquid makeup that gets on my eyelashes. So anyway, Diane Carlson Evans started, working on the Vietnam Women's Memorial to get it placed after it felt like, again, women had been omitted from the narrative. And what blew my mind about her book and her story was the level of campaigning and pushback that went into assuring that project never made it. And it kind of really sat with me in a way after reading it. I had to digest that. I am really grateful that the Vietnam Women's Memorial was in fact erected, and it stands to this day. And I'm really sad and disheartened that it took until 1993 for that to happen. The 3 service members, I believe, now if I'm wrong, please let me know if I have my dates wrong. The 3 service members were placed in 1982, and it was in 1983 that the commission statue was requested to be placed. And this was at no cost to the federal government. This was a completely volunteer donation campaigned and funded memorial that was being requested to be put up for the 265,000 female service members who served in Vietnam. So it took 11 years to get that project put through and to get it done. And what a powerful story. And if you are ever wondering about the kind of bureaucracy that can go into putting up a statue, read that book. It was wild. Just hearing about the whole journey that it took. I guess it just, like I said, it sat with me kind of, in a heavy way, only because I just, at the time I read it, I think I felt like, I thought, after reading the women, I had this bias, we're going to call it a bias in my mind of, oh, we're not there anymore. Things are different now, or things were changed. And when I read the book Healing Wounds, I realized that we haven't changed that much, and that there is still a lot of campaigning and things that go into the suppression of acknowledging women's contributions to science, healthcare, anything that, and again, I don't want to go into politics. I just feel like there was an active campaign to suppress any acknowledgement of women in the Vietnam War. And that memorial was a living embodiment of that kind of thing. So I think it's an important thing to read, to understand it historically. And if you are a nurse, I would recommend The Women and Healing Wounds. And I'm going to go ahead and put my mascara on. I'm sitting here looking around for my eyebrow gel and nowhere to be found. I probably dropped it in another bin. I'll have to find it. I wish I understood why it would matter so much to not acknowledge, or to acknowledge, women's contributions. And I also talked about Jean Purdy and the movie Joy, and her contributions to infertility, IVF treatment, and what it has meant for women's health, all that she did as a nurse. And this was over in the UK. And I just got some mascara right here. I have 3 wet Q-tips that I always have right on my area here when I'm getting ready, because I inevitably will make little mistakes and I gotta fix those. So Jean Purdy was a nurse and a pioneer, and was vital to the contributions of women's health and infertility treatments, and the first IVF treatments that were ever done. When it came time to acknowledge the contributors of the project, she was omitted. And there was, again, a campaign to assure that she was not acknowledged. And unfortunately, Jean Purdy died before her acknowledgments ever came. And I find it sad, but at the same time, I am grateful that she was posthumously, which means an acknowledgement or an award after death, for her contributions. She was posthumously acknowledged, and there was a plaque put up at the institution where she had worked in 2015 that was done, and then in 2018 and 2019 there was actual acknowledgements done at, I want to say, I forget the name of it, it was Bourne Hall Clinic and in the UK. And so she wasn't acknowledged until 2018 and 2019, long after she passed. And again, I just wonder sometimes why that is, that it is so easy to acknowledge men's contributions, but when it comes to women's contributions to healthcare, to sciences, to nursing, it takes so long. And why is there such a fight? I don't have the answers to that, and I wish I did. And I don't even know if I wish I did, because sometimes I think if I had those answers, maybe I wouldn't feel good about why that is. So I did not want this video to be heavy, and unfortunately I think it kind of is. I am getting ready to go into night shift right now. I am gonna wrap this video up. I might just pause it for a second and come back while I get my eyebrows on. We can continue chatting. Okay, I found my Gimme Brow number 3, I think it is. My brow is, and I don't get too crazy on the brows right now. I just, brush on this stuff on my natural brows because they're kind of blonde. They are there, but I don't want to draw in too much of a heavy brow. With all the face gear I wear and on and off, it's kind of not worth it, but I want to start with something. So I do just kind of touch over my brows, and I have talked about my brows in other videos. I would love to do microblading, but I'm terrified that the brow shape and thinness is going to change, which I think we've gone away from the Groucho Marx eyebrows to back towards a slimmed out eyebrow, more natural. Doesn't mean I don't want to microblade the tips in, but I'm just researching it and figuring some things out, because when I'm doing some things for my skin and my face, and I just want to be conservative with it. So I have not done the brows yet. So I just do my Brow Wiz number 3. And then for now, I'm going to go with my Clarins lip gloss, which is in Papaya 4. And just put a little gloss on. I might just touch up with a little, I don't want to put too much powder on. I've been struggling with dry skin. And this is just a little bit of my Hourglass bronzer that I have. And this, again, this one's lasted, lasts me about a year to a year and a half. This one's super old. And I just dot a little here and here and here, and we're done. So that is my Get It Ready With Me. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I will see you on the flip side.